We had gotten some done, but now it's time to continue. Next stop, the detention center. 7 years ago, detention center, visitor's room. What strange sight doth mine eyes behold? Excuse me? 2 men on either side of a single transparent pane. Yet it seems fickle fate has switched sides, so to speak. The forger of fakes walks freely, while the innocent languages within these plexiglass confines. There has been no proof that I forged anything, nor proof that I took the life of my dear mentor. Yet, these chains cannot hold me for long. The stage awaits, and what, may I ask, awaits you? A little piano and a cold little hole in a wall. But since you're here, what shall we discuss? The shooting of Magnified Grammaire, for one. Who pulled that trigger, Valen or his partner Zach? His partner vanished before the answer could be found. If I'm gonna get any closer to the truth, this is the place to start. I have to hand it to my partner. He knows how to make an exit. That's talent. Yes, he made my attorney's badge disappear, and he never even touched it. Glory's spotlight always leaves someone weeping in the shadows. Yet his very disappearance is itself a revelation. Revealing what? Zach Grammaire killed Magnify. It's as good as a signed confession. That's certainly been public opinion's take on it. I grow tired of my cage, and the time of my release is near. I must go and prepare. Planning on jumping back into the magic right away? As long as an audience waits with bated breath, there will be Valen. And also, yes, now that my partner has disappeared, Magnify's repertoire is mine. Valen Grammaire has a tradition to uphold. Is that true? Seen in this light, the trial was quite good to me, verdict or no, and you can't pay for that kind of publicity. The suspicion on you hasn't lifted entirely, Valen. After all, you received one of those letters too. You were just as obligated to follow Magnify's instructions as your partner. So I was, but only Zach Grammaire followed them. Let us not speak any more of who shot what. Now that my partner has vanished, the question is moot. I'm more interested in learning something else, actually. What might that be? I want to know what Magnify had up his sleeve. How could he coerce you and your partner to kill him? The trick up his sleeve? Perhaps you do not know. Know what? A great magician never reveals his secrets. I didn't think it would be that easy. The audience must remain forever in the audience, bathing in the reflected glow of the spotlight. The trick up his sleeve. I'm flying by the seat of my pants on this one. There must be a path leading from the evidence to the truth. And that's what I'm going to find. To ask someone to take a life, even one not long for this world, that's asking someone to commit murder. Yes, our mentor was fond of dramatic moves and dramatic finales, and he got his wish. His life was taken. What weakness could be so powerful as to coerce someone into committing murder? My guess is it was a matter of life or death. Care to explain? Your troupe lived in a world of showmanship. The flashier, the better. And flashy so often means danger, doesn't it? Let us make this as painless as possible. If you have proof of this danger, then show it. I do.
Take that!
Why, that's one of ours. Specifically designed for your show, I gather. A single bullet, one shot. What are you suggesting? We are magicians, Mr. Wright, not murderers. I'm not crying murder, Mr. Valen. I'm crying something far more tragic. An accident. Zach and Valen's quick draw shoot him. How long has it been since those shots were last heard? Was the shooting canceled because someone might get hurt? Of course. What other reason could there be? Well, it could have been canceled because someone had already been hurt. Fascinating, my Faustian forging friend. But tell me, what can you prove with a single pistol? Well, tell me what would have happened if there had been an accident. What if one of your bullets took a life on stage? The performance of magic is not concerned with what-ifs. It is concerned with precision. Precisely whom do you claim we shot? Looks like I've chosen the right path. Let's just hope he walks it with me. A life was sacrificed so that the show might go on. And this shows who it was. But that's Zach Ramirez's wife and Trucy's mother. Thalassa, I believe, was her name. Alakazam! But how can you say this? How can you say she was struck by one of our bullets? Still in denial mode, eh? Thalassa was at the greatest risk of being shot. And this clearly shows just how much danger she was in. Troop Ramirez's performances were very, very popular. So popular, they even made a commemorative stamp at the height of your fame. We were not merely the latest craze. We were an age. A golden age. It's all here on this stamp. There's Thalassa, yes? Trucy's mother is missing, I hear. What happened to her? I don't know! A part of his memory is still locked up. There is one thing you're failing to address. What's that? As you say, our troop was a world unto itself. If our leader Manify was so inclined, he could have anything he wished with ease. But Mr. Wright, then he would have hid a crime, making him an accomplice. Not a great foundation for blackmail. Balin's got a point. If one of the troop members died in an accident and Manify covered it up, his innocence would come into question. Found the right address, Mr. Wright? I'm so close, there has to be something about how Thalassa's death could affect Zack and Valent's relationship with Manify. I see in your eyes. You still have something to say. How can you possibly prove more than you already have? I'll prove why Thalassa's accident tied your hands so completely. It's gonna take a little knowledge of the players to crack this one. The accidental death of Zack's wife tied both your hands, and this information proves my Manify held so much power over you. Thalassa herself. It wasn't a question of who shot Thalassa. Thalassa herself was the problem. What do you mean? She was Zack Ramirez's wife, Trucy's mother, and Manify Ramirez's only daughter. There was a terrible accident, and the two of you killed your mentor's only daughter. If that wasn't the key to Manify's power over you, I don't know what was. It was an accident! There's no proof. None at all. But Thalassa went missing. And your mentor blackmailed both of his disciples. It doesn't take a genius to put one and one together. Ours was a complex family. You mean Troop Ramirez? The master Manify Ramirez, his only daughter, and his two disciples. That does sound like a recipe for disaster, does it? Do not be tempted into faulty flights of fancy. Yes, there was an accident. But that is all it was. An accident. Zack and Val's tour de force. The guns blaze, the bullets fly straight toward that beautiful body on stage. And then crash, sing pow into everything but her. Now that is magic. It happened one day when we were practicing. Same trick with a new twist. And tragedy. But as for whose bullet stole Thalassa's life, we shall never know the answer. Thalassa disappeared from our lives, and Zack was bereft of his wife. Trucy lost her mother, and Manify his daughter. And that led to blackmail, I take it. It is all part and parcel of the darkness that comes when the curtain falls. Why did Manify Ramirez try to cover up the accident? It was his own daughter who died. All I can say is it was a critical time for Troop Ramirez. A passing of the torch from Manify to Zack and Val. We all sacrificed so that it might be a success. Thalassa's death was the greatest sacrifice of all. Yet, even when her life was extinguished, her presence was not. What do you mean? In time, we, myself and Zack, found we could no longer oppose Manify's wishes. Manify forced us to perform his art for his benefit. I see. I guess I can understand. I mean, he did lose his only daughter. But do you not find cowardice in his actions? Huh? To decide to hide the truth of your own daughter's death is one thing. But then to hang that death as a guillotine above our heads. Things we dart behind the scenes in Troupe Grammaire, that's for sure. Does Trucy know? She was not told. Naturally. Who would want to know that their father might have taken their mother's life? True. I had not thought of that accident for a very long time. I'm sorry to dredge up old memories, but this has helped a lot. Not to find Manify's slayer, I should think. True. After that accident, there was one who came sniffing quite persistently. A reporter? He called himself a newsman at the time. Often I spied him lurking about the dressing room doing his research. Would you happen to remember his name? What was his name? Sorry, I have forgot. But in the course of his interviewing, he became quite close to my partner, Zack. I liked him not. I see. His name, I do not recall, but his scent, the cloying aroma of mint. Yes, whenever he smiled, which was far too often. I see. Thanks for your help. It does no good to interfere with the past, Mr. Wright. You will not uncover answers, only wounds. I'm sorry. I had begun to notice a dark curtain hanging over Troupe Grammaire, and I began to realize what I had to do. I had to protect Trucy from that darkness. The reporter he mentioned, the newsman, I never learned who that was at the time. Though I've got a pretty good idea who it is now. That smile and that sickly sweet smell of mint. The last flossed-in thread connecting Zack Grammaire to this world. Sooner or later I have to track him down. The past has been completed. Now to the present. Nice. Let's begin with Drew's studio. Present day, Drew's studio.
Eh? Well, what do we have here?
Remember me?
Of course I remember you. Journalist meets ex-attorney in bar, end quote.
Can I ask what you're doing here? Mr. Mission was poisoned and his daughters.
Oh yes, I know. Oh, how I know. Yes. It's caused me no end of grief, to be honest. Journalist wishes he tracked down case just a little quicker, end quote.
Were you on the trail of the case the whole time?
Zack Grammaire
was a good friend. Zack says something to that effect back at the Borscht Bowl Club.
What a character, what a man. If extremely rough around the edges.
Do you think I could ask you a few questions?
Oh, you serious? I mean, I'm usually the interviewer, not interviewee. Journalists ask questions, not other way around, end quote. Fine, shoot, I don't care. People have been asking me all sorts of things lately.
It was tragic what happened to Drew Misham and his daughter.
Forgery's a serious crime and they paid the price. You know what really did them in though, don't you?
Yes, a forged diary page.
The night I interviewed him, I found out something about Mr. Mission I hadn't known.
What's that?
You know, he always felt like he was being watched. Every day for 7 years. Walls have ears, potatoes have eyes, end quote.
Being watched? You mean he felt guilty?
No, I'm not talking about feelings here. You know, I felt watched too. The whole time I've been on this case, no less. Journalist gets tingling sensation on back of neck. Freaks out, end quote. Because
you felt guilty?
Why would I feel guilty?
You felt like you were being watched, huh? I wonder what it all means.
I met Zack through that case, actually.
You mean the shooting of Manify Grammaire?
No, before that. It's not widely known.
You mean the accident during the quick draw shoot-'em practice?
My, you're well informed. You should have seen me back then. I dug up quite the scoop. I wanted it all. Money, fame, women, a little puppy, all for me. I was younger then, and my days and nights smelled of fresher mint than they do now.
Val Grammaire did mention one particularly nosy reporter.
In fact, I was on close speaking terms with Manify Grammaire at the time. I knew his daughter too, of course. The Lhasa, was it?
Really?
Then the Lhasa disappeared, quite suddenly at that, and Manify wouldn't say a word about it. Yeah, my evil habit got the better of me. Journalist catches scent of a scoop, goes on feeding frenzy, end quote. I set up a one-on-one interview with Alassa's husband, see? Zach
Gramere?
Something strange was in the air over at Troop Gramere in those days. The whole screwy mentor-controlling disciples thing by then, I'm guessing. Thalassa, she was part of it all, right? Come on, you can tell me, off the record.
Sorry, I don't know.
Anyway, I kept prying and eventually became friends with Zach. Sure, he punched me once or twice, or 5 times, but over time he came to see me as his confidant.
Drew Misham felt like he was being watched? And you along with them? You sure it wasn't just nerves?
Nerves? No, it's nothing so mundane. I stopped paying attention to my nerves a long time ago. But I felt it too. Journalist sure he's being watched, end quote. Don't you wonder why Zach Gramere got rubbed out after 7 years? Right after coming into contact with me? He completely vanishes from the courtroom. Then, for 7 years, he talks to no one, not a soul. Then, just as the remaining time was almost up, he contacts me in order to have this made. And then he dies. Starting to put the pieces together, are we?
And you were being watched this whole time?
Maybe not just me. Maybe you were too.
Me?
He's been waiting this whole time. 7 years, eh?
Waiting.
For his big comeback, of course. A big revival of the Manify miracle. Of course, it was all a dream.
Because of this. The performance rights.
In the absence of any official documents, he was golden. Who's to say the old man didn't give his rights to both Zach and Valen?
So Valen waited until Zach died. Legally, at least.
The time finally comes and Valen's like a kid on Christmas morning. He's getting ready for his show at the Sunshine Coliseum, you know? If that document sees the legal light of day, it's going to put a bit of a damper on the big show. He's a sorry one, that Valen Gramere. Lost out to his partner at work, and in love, too.
Love?
It's the same old story, really. 2 disciples and their mentor's only daughter. What has 3 sides and all of them pointy? A love triangle.
That is pretty classic.
When you're in a performance troupe, that's your world. It's like family. One with an entire high school's worth of drama, intrigue, and backstabbing.
And in the middle of it, all this, Thalassa has Trucy. And then she dies. I need to find out more about this Thalassa. Mr. Brushel, do you know this person?
Do I know that person? Of course. I was friends with Zach, after all. He hit me a few times. 5 times, actually. But still, I'd never forget his wife, Thalassa Gramere.
Manify Gramere's only daughter. Do you think you could tell me more about her?
Well, why the heck not? So, Thalassa married Zach and had Trucy, see? It was her second marriage, actually.
You mean she was divorced? I hadn't heard this one before.
Not quite. Her late husband was a performer, too. Apparently he died during some gig. Tragic, really. They had only been married 1 year.
I didn't know.
Ah, but she was a beauty. I still carry a portrait photo of her around, you know. I've known Trucy since she was a little thing, too. She got the better deal, really. She's got you for family, after all.
What do you mean?
Just reminiscing, you know. Thalassa has another child besides Trucy, end quote.
What? But Trucy said she was an only child.
Ah, yes, this one she had with her previous husband.
Her previous husband? Her first husband who died during a performance?
Yep, they had themselves a kid. Another orphan now. That's another one who slipped through the cracks. No idea where they are now.
Thalassa had another child. Do you think I could borrow that photo?
Sure, I can be generous on occasion, you know.
I won't need this locket anymore. Better return it to Trucy before I forget.
People in events all get tangled together and get bigger and bigger. Don't you think?
I was busy wondering about the saying. I was too busy wondering about bigger to listen to what you were saying.
Sometimes you just gotta accept that you won't be able to untangle it all, I think.
Maybe so, but still. I have to do what I can, and I have to tell what I find of those who come next.
Next, you say?
I'm not the one who will close the curtain on this little play. Apparently, that's not my role anymore.
Magnify. I was just wondering what Magnify would think of all this.
What do you mean?
Haven't you seen it in Trucy? She's got his power. You mean how I can't lie to Trucy? It was the same with Manify. And with his daughter, Thalassa.
It's a strange thing. You think it's some Grimaire gene?
Manify told me once, back when Zack married Thalassa. He said Zack had good eyes, but not good like a Grimaire's eyes. Not that good.
I wonder if Zack ever played a game of poker with his wife. Who knows what the Grimaire's secret was?
Maybe nobody, now that Zack's gone.
Zack Grimaire. The plot had finally begun to reveal itself. It sprouted from a warp in the Grimaire fabric and grew, swallowing everything, wrapping itself around the Grimaire's power. A power which passed from Manify Grimaire to Thalassa, to the next generation. And I would once again need to meet the one who bridged it all together. Alright, time we move on to the Borscht Bowl Club. Since we got that done, alright, time to talk to Zack Grimaire. It's time for us to him tell us everything. The Grimaire's secret. I have to know more about this power of Trucy's. It's like she can see right into people's minds. The first time I saw her do it, it blew mine. And after you were done having your mind blown, you took her to play cards with you. Gotta use the resources at hand, I always say. Yet I myself have no such power. But Trucy does. Why's that? Why's that? Maybe Trucy got her power from her mother, Thalassa Grimaire. I will not speak of that. Thalassa's officially missing, correct? And I think I know why you don't want to talk about her. The three of you were a team once. Not that the entire country doesn't already know this. At your peak, you were the biggest stars around. Yet, there's another story behind the fame, one that not many know. Thalassa lost her life during a rehearsal. To you and Valen Grimaire's bullets. It was an accident. It wasn't me. How could I shoot my dear Thalassa? I'm sure Valen would say the same thing. Why, it's just like another murder I might mention. Damn you! Her eyes. I loved Thalassa's eyes. To think they could read my mind was frightening. Yet there was a warmth in there that felt like an embrace. She is dead, and Manify Grimaire has joined her. So the only one with her power left now is Trucy? Mr. Zack, I do not know. I don't need any power to see through that one, buddy. So there's someone else, someone other than Trucy. Someone who inherited Thalassa's power. Ha! Ha! How would I know? My chances are slim. It would take a miracle to learn the truth. Or maybe one has already occurred. There is someone else with the power, and I know who. Apollo Justice. This boy? His name is, I forget, something weird. Who could he be? An attorney? An attorney. Attorney? I noticed him when I went to visit a friend's law offices. So what are we to make of this, oh great ex-attorney? You can show me pictures of strange boys all you like. But you could at least say something like, I'm this boy. I could use a laugh. Perhaps you wouldn't laugh if you knew the facts. This might not be 100% proof, but it's close. There's a link between this boy and Thalassa. Actually, it's more of a ring. A ring? Perhaps this will refresh your memory. I just so happen to have evidence showing this missing link. Actually, I know something. Your marriage to Thalassa was her second. How did you know this? Her first husband. He died a year after they were wed, yes? He was a performer. They met when he joined us Grimaire's as a guest in our show. After Thalassa wed him, she left the troupe for a while. And you say she had a child then? I have a photograph of her here. I couldn't help notice what she was wearing when I first saw this. Those bracelets stand out. They are a Grammaire family heirloom. This boy wears a bracelet just like the ones in the picture. What? So, that's why. Why what, Mr. Zack? I took this photograph of Thalassa before she left us. When she returned, she wore only one bracelet. I bet I know where that other one went. She gave it to this boy, her son. This strange power, I myself do not know from where it comes. Yet the fact is that it is passed down the Grammaire line. It runs in their veins. What is it? I asked her, Thalassa, once. This is what she told me. Her power responds to tension in others. Tension? If she were to face a person and they became tense even slightly, then she would know, no matter how hard they try to hide it from her. So she could see it? Not quite. That is just the strangest part of all. She wouldn't realize that she was subconsciously detecting this tension without the use of a particular object, or in her case, objects. Objects? Wait, were they something she wore? Yes, her bracelets. I admit the first time I saw one of those, I felt there was more to it than just fashion. But what kind of power could a bracelet have? I have made a decision. I will tell you all I know. Consider it a gift. Well, I hardly need you to tell me at this point, but those two are brother and sister, yes. And the brother too has his power of theirs. So Trucy has an older brother. I wonder what will come of that. Mr. Wright, tonight after our game is done, I will return to a life of hiding. I would not see her live her life without knowing. I understand. I'll tell the two of them when the time is right. I am in your debt, once again. No kidding. What I want to know is how all this got to be so messed up. Those bracelets are made of a special alloy. It is said to expand and shrink, very slightly, in response to body warmth. So they're temperature sensitive or something. Yes. This is how they can shrink to the exact size of their wearer's wrist. And this has something to do with the power? What have I told you? The Grammaire power reacts to tension in others. When a Grammaire senses tension, they too become tense. And this tension translates into minute contractions of the muscles. So minute, they cannot sense it on their own. Their muscles? Oh, so that's what the bracelets are for. With a bracelet on, one can sense these contractions, because the bracelet is always a perfect fit. So when the person they're watching gets tense, the bracelet feels tighter on their wrist. Precisely. But that alone doesn't really count as mind reading. I believe I understand how the process works from there. It's a simple question of eyesight. Eyesight? I guess that sounds simple enough. Have you ever heard of kinetic vision? Something about the ability to see moving objects with full clarity, right? I've heard of it before. They said athletes can see a moving ball like it was stopped if they focus. Oh, but it's not confined to sports alone. It all relies on the ability to focus. When we focus, we can see many things. The faintest twitch of the face and the meaning that lies behind it. Therein lies one of the secrets of magic. One must know the mind of a crowd before one may distract it. So basically what you're saying is, the Grammaires can see really well. For them, seeing is more than believing. It is knowing. Their power relies on eyesight combined with exceptional focus. Things are starting to come into focus for me too. Of course, it is difficult to maintain such levels of focus for any length of time. But what if someone could tell you when to focus? Or something. Precisely. But wait, Trucy doesn't have any bracelets. You're talking about poker, yes? The timing of when to focus is so elementary, she probably does it without thinking. I doubt Trucy herself has realized this. That is all I know of things Grammaire. Thank you, Mr. Zack. If this boy's bracelet is the real thing, then he will use it before long, thereby awakening his power. I'll keep that in mind. Well, shall we play a game? I've said so much, let me say one more thing. I will tell you of that night. That night? The night my mentor, Magnified Grammaire, passed from this world to the next. There were 2 pistols and 2 letters sent. This was Magnified's test. A test? In his last years, Magnified Grammaire worked us to the bone. No, to the pain. But that night I could not shoot him, so I shot the clown's forehead instead. This, it seems, was the correct answer. Take this. I give my art to you, Zack. What? It is thanks for playing along with my show. You shot well tonight, Zack. Though I would not have minded dying by your hand. How could I shoot you? You're my mentor. Pah! I thought you might say that. If I went home without shooting anything, what would you have done then? Then of course I would have given Valen his chance. And if I had shot you in the forehead instead, then it would be over. If you or Valen were to shoot me in the head, then I to the darkness would go and my art with me. A fitting end, don't you think? Ah, yet this ending too gives me no cause for regret. I thank you, Zack. And I am sorry. I have done much that was wrong in my day. It seems to me that Manify wanted you to be his successor all along. That's why the time he gave you was earlier than Balance. Perhaps, but it is not something we'll ever know for sure now. I wonder, what is Valen up to these days? Waiting for you to die. If 7 years pass like this, the performance rights go to him. Ah, and now here I am, and his dream is ended. It's worse than that, actually. Public opinion's a fickle thing, you know. What? You don't mean to tell me they put the blame for our mentor's death on him? The trial ended when you vanished, Mr. Zack. There were even rumors that Valen had helped you pull it off. But that's madness! Well, it seems that before I can once again disappear from this world, I have one more act to perform. Isn't it odd that sorting out my life should prove so complicated, even though I'm dead? That night, Zack Romero was killed. He died as Shoddy Smith, a mysterious traveler with a secret past. But he left one thing behind before he parted. This. His confession, to use as I saw fit. Of course, he'd killed no one. This was his way of tying up loose ends with his own partner, Valen Romero. That is done. Now we head to the Coliseum. Present day, Sunshine Coliseum. Well, this is a blast from the distant past. Long time no see, Mr. Valen. 7 years has it been. Frankly, I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Actually, I came because there's something I want to ask you. I've spoken to the press. I've nothing more to say. I've spoken to a lot of people myself and come to some conclusions. But then I realized I needed to hear it from you. I have walked a difficult road these past 7 years because you couldn't perform Manify's repertoire. Do not be deceived. Valen's skill is the real deal. I do not require my mentor's hand-me-downs. No, it was my partner who slowed me on my way, Zack Romero. His rather well-performed disappearing act 7 years ago was the end. Or so I thought. Zack Romero murdered our mentor and fled to escape punishment for his crime. You said something to that effect 7 years ago, didn't you? I remember it as if 'twere only yesterday. Yet that was not the way of it in the end. For while he vanished, the suspicions upon my own person never did. His partner Zack vanished to protect him. That's what those thieving magpies of a press said. I had no idea. Yet that very same press comes to me now feigning interest. They cover the greatest magic show in history as if man were a vaudeville distraction. And here must I stand, smiling at them all. What am I, if not a player in some fiendish farce? Might I suggest it's because you never made it clear what happened? Manify's death is still a mystery to this day. Which is why I came here to get the answer from you. I knew I'd be seeing these sooner or later. The audience has no business stepping upon the stage. They must be content to sit and stare at the spotlight. That sounds an awful lot like something I heard 7 years ago. Manify's death. Ask what you will, you'll get nothing from me. I'm as much a part of this affair as you are now. I have to know what happened. For 7 long years, I have endured. Now, finally, the curtain lifts on my new golden age. All the miracles of our troupe within my grasp. Sorry to do this, Valen, but right now I need answers. I think I'll start by dropping a bomb. That should shake things up. Valen, I wouldn't be so sure about those miracles. Not as long as I have this. And what might that be? I see it bears the Grammaire seal. I should have brought this to your attention sooner, but I didn't imagine you'd be planning your comeback quite so fast. What is this? A document showing the true recipient of the performance rights to Magnify's miracles. What? Zach Grammaire? He wrote this? What? He passed everything to his daughter? True Enigma. Actually, she's officially my daughter these days. Preposterous! Zach's gone! Vanished into the void! This is the genuine article. Zach was alive when he wrote this. Both myself and the notary can testify to this. Ah! Why? Why does fate toy with me so? Why must my life be lived in thrall to the dead? You're not the only one with that problem. But he shot Magnify. Yes, it was Zach. It was. And then he left. And my career as a magician fell into darkness. Did you think there might be some way out of it? Say, if you could prove Zach Grammaire shot Magnify? Was that why you testified? Yes, my way out. It should have been my way out. Well, it might not be too late, Mr. Valiant. All you need is a way to prove your case. Who really killed Magnify Grammaire? I believe I have the answer to your prayers right here. Zach Grammaire wrote one more thing before passing on. This is a confession, in which he admits to the killing of Magnify Grammaire. See? All according to your plan. I am a magician by trade. Deception is my life's work. I fool the audience, give them a fleeting dream. Yet it seems the tables have turned. Now I am the audience, believing in the deceptions I have wrought upon myself. Zach wrote this right in front of me. After I explained your situation to him. Oh my God! You do know that this confession is nothing but lies. Yes, it's my opinion that Zach Grammaire killed no one. Then you must be thinking the truth as a simple matter of elimination. Two received instructions to kill, but if one is innocent, then the one who remains is guilty. That would be the logical conclusion, yes. So he vanished to protect me, his partner. A stirring tale, this true. Did you shoot Magnify Grammaire in the forehead? If I had and I told you, what would you do? Run to the police, perchance? Do as you will. There's nothing left for me now. It is true, after all. I have little talent. I needed my mentor Magnify's repertoire. It was as if a little demon grabbed hold of me. I knew it. So Valiant Grammaire did kill the great Magnify. So sorry, Mr. Wright, but it was not I who shot my mentor. What? But if it wasn't you, then who was it? There wasn't another disciple, was there? Another disciple, such as, I don't know, Knack and Talent Grammaire, maybe? Your wild fancies couldn't be further from the truth. Only Zach and Valiant received those threatening letters. But there was another. One more person could have fired that pistol that night. I don't suppose you figured it out by now. If it wasn't Zach or Valiant who shot Magnify, then it had to have been the only other person at the scene, which means... Wait, you don't mean... Yes, the great Magnify Grammaire himself. So Magnify Grammaire committed suicide! You find it hard to believe. To be honest, I hadn't even imagined it as a possibility. When I arrived that night, the old man was still alive. He appeared to be asleep. I could not shoot him. But when I turned and made to leave the room, the old man called out to me. So you spoke with Magnify Grammaire? Yes, and this is why I knew what he had done. Magnify transferred the rights to his repertoire to my partner Zach Grammaire, not me. I see. Then I guess I owe you an apology. I always thought you were the one who did it. You owe me no apology. Huh? My crime was in a way more serious than that of murder. What? Your crime? Is Valiant Grammaire confessing something to me? What could be more serious than murder? You see, I knew that 2 letters had been sent. There are no secrets between partners. It was easy to find out. That was when I understood Magnify's plan. He wanted to die by one of your hands? Little did I expect it had anything to do with the rights to his repertoire. That was when I heard it. The little demon whispering inside my heart. The demon? Let me confess, I had intended to shoot Magnify, and I planned on framing my partner for the crime. What? That night, I prepared something before going to Magnify's hospital room. Which was IV fluid, of course. I'd seen it on an earlier visit. If Zack did not shoot, I would do the deed. Then I would use the IV liquid to place the murder on his hands. That was my plan. But you didn't shoot him. I could not. The demon in my heart fled when the moment came. But then Magnify called me back. I am sorry, Valent. I am giving my magic to Zack, not you. You still lack the draw he has. Please help him if you can. I left the room, and then I stopped. The shock of what I had just been told consumed me. That is when I heard that fateful gunshot. Magnify Grimmaire, killing himself. Then the demon awoke anew within me. Zack killed him. He was the one. Frame him, and the magic will be yours. I altered the scene of his suicide. I took the pistol from his hand, wiped off the prints. Then I used the syringe to add the IV liquid I brought. So in the end, things happened pretty much as planned. Magnify died and you framed Zack for his murder. As planned, indeed. Of course, the outcome was somewhat different than I had anticipated. Well, what do you think? Do you believe my story? Can it be believed truly? That was 7 years ago. I don't know what to believe. But, yes, I'm glad I heard it from you, Mr. Valent. Thank you. It is I who should be thanking you, Mr. Wright. Only when I had lost everything could I make my decision. You're going to turn yourself in? My partner may have vanished, but not so my guilt. And as my guilt stays, all else begins to leave me. My friends, my performance rights, my magic. I've had enough of vanishing acts. I understand. I thought my life was ruled by a dead man. But I find I was wrong. For Zack Grimmaire was alive. Well, not anymore. And now it occurs to me. What if he was not the only one who survived? What do you mean? You see, now that I think about it, I realize that we never saw proof of her demise. We never saw her body. Her? The mind races and the mouth flaps on. My apologies. Forget this matter. I can only hope that the day will come when I again meet my partner, Zack Grimmaire. Then, I shall apologize for my terrible mistake. I am glad we had this chance to talk. Thank you. Zack Grimmaire, Shoddy Smith, whichever name you prefer, he is no longer with us. The truth revealed in that trial was only a sliver, and the impenetrable darkness that remained has taken another life. I knew what I had to do to push back the darkness for good, and it would involve paying that man a visit. Here we go. Sorry, sir. Prisoner Christoph Gavin is currently occupied. I see. Do you know when he'll be finished? Well... Could you go find out? Certainly, sir. Please wait here a moment. My apologies to the guard, but there's something I need to see. Right here. There it is. The yellow envelope. And the sender is Drew Misham. I was right.
When I arrived at the studio, Mr. Misham was at his desk. He seemed to be writing a letter, but he quickly sealed the envelope. It was a yellow envelope. I heard it was left at the crime scene.
If this is the last letter that Drew Misham wrote, then there's something I need to do. The last thing I need to do, in fact. Here goes. Let's see if this atropine spray finds anything. So this was Drew Misham's messenger of death. It was the stamp, all right, no mistaking it. And his last letter was sent to Christoph Gavin. Gotcha. Finally, decisive evidence. What's this? A burglar? In jail? Gavin! I didn't know you'd moonlight in larceny, Wright. Gavin, there's something I have to ask you. Can I steal your stuff? The answer is no. My apologies, but there's not much I care to discuss. Vera Misham hasn't received her verdict yet. You follow me, Gavin? There are no known survivors of atroquinine poisoning, but it never hurts to hope. Okay, I'll be leaving now then. Right, wait. Yeah, Gavin? Would you mind leaving that letter? It's private. Oh, sorry. Forgot I had it. Many thanks. What Christoph Gavin didn't know was that Wright was always one step ahead. He always was. We've now seen all the clues in the case. Clues I gathered over 7 long years. Now it is time. Every story has an ending. We've come to the final chapter, the final trial. Find the truth. You're the only ones who can. Yep. Next time is the finale, the final episode of Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. If you enjoy it, like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell. This is MegamanNG signing off. Peace out. Product provided by Capcom.